Here is the overview I want you to pay attention to. So basically, if you look at the first part of this form, so you have to put your EIN, your employer identification number, and you have to actually put your name. This is not your trade name. This is not your business name. This is your personal name. And you have to put your trade name, your business name, if applicable. You have to put your address, your street name, your zip, your city, everything. Okay. And to the right on the screen, you can see here, you have to specify that this is for Form 941. Basically, this is the return you're correcting, because when we talk about 941X, this is an amendment. Okay. And if you are correcting 941, okay. If you're correcting 941 SS, then it's but in our case, it's the first one, and you have to actually specify the quarter to which you want the form to be applicable, because Form 941 is specifically for quarterly tax return, and you have to put the calendar year of the quarter you are correcting. In our case, was 2022, and you also have to put the date you discovered the errors. And so we put the date. It's important to understand that when we talk about Form 941X, this is basically this form is used to correct any errors made on Form 941. And if you find an error, or let's say on a previously filed Form 941, you got to correct this error using Form 941X. Otherwise, you're exposing yourself to penalties, and you do not want to have that. Okay. Now, there are certain criteria for filing Form 941X. So you have let's say you want to file this form in two scenarios. Okay, underreported taxes and over-reported taxes. So under-reported taxes mean that you have reported less income or revenue that was actually received. For over-reported taxes, you have reported more income or revenue that was actually received. So if you're filing Form 941X for under-reported taxes, you must actually make a tax payment when you file the form. When reporting over-reported taxes, you can claim either a refund or an abatement for your next return. Now, when is this form actually required? Well, you actually you want to use the Form 941 to correct wages, tips, and other compensation, income tax withheld from wages, tips, and other compensation, taxable Social Security wages, taxable Social Security tips, taxable Medicare wages and tips, taxable wages and tips subject to additional Medicare tax withholding, and qualify small business payroll tax credit for increasing research activities. By the way, boss, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Make yourself comfortable. You are going to enjoy today's conversation. Let me talk to you about part two. Part two of this form is pretty straightforward. So basically, you are actually filing the form based on specific scenarios. So in our case here, we actually checked the line 3, and you have to see which one of line 4 is applicable to your business. So here we have put line C, 4C. So the adjustment is for federal income tax, Social Security tax, Medicare tax, or additional Medicare tax that I did not withhold from employee wages. So every situation is different, but you have to really choose the one that is applicable to you. And so line 5 here. So if you actually check the line 2, because let's say you are claiming a refund or abatement, then basically you have to go for the specific session that is applicable. But since we did not actually check line 2, we actually we ignored that part. Okay. And it's really important to understand that when we talk about Form 941, everything depends upon your specific situation, and you have to, in some cases, you might have to attach a statement to your Form 941X. For example, you have to explain the context to which they really brought the scenario where you are filing for Form 941. For instance, during COVID, a lot of employers had problems, cash flow problems, revenue problems, and other situations that really made the whole thing extraordinarily difficult to file the proper amount. So when that happened, you have to attach the statement that contextualizes everything to the IRS, so the agency knows what's really happening. Okay, and it's one of those things where you have to always be transparent. One thing I also need to understand is that when we talk about the corrections you're making, you have to explain those corrections. And if there is any sort of explanatory statements needed for you to really to contextualize the errors or the modifications that you're seeking, please do so. You want to really explain everything as much as possible. There's nothing called like a too much explanation, right? But there's something called too little explanation, because if you do not explain the things properly, you might actually invite an audit, or you might invite a notice from the IRS, which you don't want anyway. Neither of which you want. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about Form 941X. Part 3 here, this is where you have to put your name. So again, I want to insist on the fact that we're speaking about your personal name, not your trade name. So you put your name, you put your EIN, and you want to actually put the, let's say, the quarter that you are correcting on Form 941X and the year. So you have to put the correcting quarter and the correcting calendar year. In our case, we are doing the second quarter of 2022. And so part 3, this is actually where you have to sort of specify what kind of a situation is applicable to your let's say to your business. And it's one of those things where we're going to leave this on the screen for a few seconds. So it's one of those things where if you have any question, let us know. But it's pretty self-explanatory. You have to put the wages, the tips, and other compensation, and then you have to really report them and see which one actually is applicable to the adjustments you are seeking. And next, I'm showing you right now another. So this is the continuation. So line 18A all the way to line 21. And part 3 here, part 3. So again, you put your name. Don't forget to put your name, your first name, like the first name, last name, and you put your EIN and the correcting quarter and the correcting calendar year. And here again, you have to put the corrections for this quarter. And if any line does not apply, leave it blank. Okay. So the form continues here. So line 28 all the way to 32. So again, you have to see which one is applicable. If you have any questions about your specific company, please let us know in the comment section. We'll get back to you. Let us know the city and state you are actually writing from, or your business operates in, and so we can actually see how things will apply to your situation. It's important to understand that when we talk about Form 941X, there are some errors that can be corrected by filing this form, and others need another form. So again, I want to insist on the fact that you can actually file Form 941X for underreported amounts only, overreported amounts only, or both underreported and overreported amounts. So this is important to really understand. Now, if you're transparent, you might actually escape some tax penalties in case of underreporting taxes. Part 3 here, as you can see on the screen here, you actually have to put again so part 3 is still ongoing here. So we have line 33A all the way to line 38. Again, here we're going to leave this on the screen a few seconds. If any of this is applicable to your business, you have to actually fill in the data here. And in our case, no, so we actually skipped it. And so another section. So we have line 39 all the way to line 40. Again, this is not applicable to us, so we are still here on page 4. And the next here is that if you remember earlier, I was telling you about contextualizing anything that happened, right? So part 4 here, so here you have to specify what really happened. So the IRS wants you to explain your corrections for this quarter, what really happened, and blah, 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 blah. So in our case, we put, I did not withhold the proper amount of payroll taxes from staff wages due to an error in the accounting software my computer was using. At that time, the software provider was updating. Actually, it was updated its system. No, I think was updating. We should have said what's updating its systems. So bottom line here is that it's one of those things where you always want to specify what you want to explain what really happened, so that you are giving the IRS some kind of background knowledge, so they know what really happened. And it's really important to understand that at the end of the day, you want to be as transparent as possible. And it's important also to understand that everything changes based on the situation. For example, there is the employee retention tax credit that could be applicable to your Form 941 and Form 941X. And if that applies to you, then really you want to specify that. Now, the employee retention tax credit is a fully refundable payroll tax refund offered by the IRS to businesses that saw a significant decline in gross income during the COVID pandemic or experienced full or partial shutdowns due to government orders that impacted commerce, travel, or group meetings. Okay, so it's one of those things where if it's applicable to you, not a problem. Now, companies hire third-party payroll services to sort of file Form 941X or file Form 941 to avoid having to do those adjustments later on in the future. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about Form 941X. And here I'm showing you part 5. So part 5 is pretty self-explanatory here. So you have to actually sign the form. So you put your name. Again, here we're speaking about your personal name, not your company name. And so you have to put the name, your title, okay? And then you have to sign. And if there is you want to put a number where the IRS can contact you if they have additional questions, okay? It's one of those things where, in the bottom section is actually for paid preparers. So let's say if you hired a CPA or an EA or a tax attorney to file this Form 941, you want to put that professional's information here, and yeah, pretty straightforward. Next one thing I want to say here is that I'm going to show you some of the instructions on the screen. So again, we're going to leave this on the screen, but the bottom line here is that you have to really abide by the regulations, and the rules are different depending upon the city and state where you actually are operating. So yeah, if you have any question, please let us know. Once again, I'm not going to comment too much. So we're showing another section. So page 6. So those are the instructions. So the first one was if you actually had underreported or overreported. And this screenshot is for both underreported and overreported tax amounts. So there are specific rules to actually follow depending upon the scenario that's applicable to your business. Okay, and there are some deadlines that you need to be aware of when it comes to filing Form 941X. And depending on your situation, you want to actually file Form 941X as soon as possible. As soon as you discover the errors, you want to really, like, there's no set date, but the IRS has set it in in instructions in the past to file as soon as possible. Okay, it's one of those things where you want to be as transparent with the IRS as possible, so that any errors can be corrected and penalties can be avoided. So again, file as soon as possible. And how do you actually file Form 941X? Well, you actually can do it online, or you can do it manually, and it's just a lot better nowadays. A lot of businesses are filing Form 941X online. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about Form 941X. Let me talk to you about the approach you need to follow here. So it's really important to understand that when we talk about Form 941X, you are basically correcting errors on the Form 941, okay? And it's one of those things where you do not need to report 941 Schedule B errors on Form 941X. Okay, you can report errors on Form 941 related to the number of employees who received wages or the federal tax liabilities reported on Form 941, and don't file Form 941X for corrections on the Schedule B, Form 941, report of tax liability for semi-weekly scheduled depositors, okay? And this topic requires a lot more explanation that we don't have, for which we don't have time in today's video. But if this is applicable to you, let's say you have a Schedule B sort of item or Schedule B question you want to ask, please let us know in the comment section, and we'll get back to you. Not a problem. And one thing I want to say here is that, remember, correcting an underreported amount will not subject you to penalties or interest if you follow these guidelines. File on time, pay the amount shown on line 20 at the same time that you actually filed the Form 941X form, and enter the date you discovered the error and explain your correction in details. It's all about contextualizing the situation, okay? You will have to pay interest if the underreported taxes are related to an issue raised let's say in an IRS examination of a prior period, you knowingly underreported taxes. You received a notice and demand for payment. In other words, you let the process really drag a little far before you actually reacted. And if you also received a notice of determination of worker classification, then you really have to you have to pay interest. Now, if you receive a certain notice, you have to, let's say you receive a notice after filing Form 941X, you have to reply with an explanation. So if you want to avoid penalties, if you want to avoid interest, if you want to avoid any problem at all with the IRS, you really want to contextualize any communication, or let's say any situation, so that the IRS has a clear idea what really led to you filing the Form 941X in the first place. Now, when we talk about Form 941X, let's say you want to file this form manually, you have to actually file it to the specific address that is applicable to your city and state. Okay, there are actually different forms of address. You know, like you have some let's say PO box in Cincinnati, and one in Ogden. You have another one. So there are a lot of other places. But one thing I want to say here is that most of those forms are processed out of the Utah sort of Utah Processing Center. And one thing I want to say also is that it's just a lot better if you are trying to avoid any situation here. You want to actually file electronically. It's a lot faster. You go to the IRS website. There is actually a place. There's a section called Electronic Federal Tax Payment System, so EFTPS. So you actually set up everything there. It's just a lot more straightforward. The bottom line here is that you want to make sure that you're following the rules. And if you have any question, again, it's just a lot better to pay $100, $200, or $300 for that matter to a third-party designee. It could be a CPA, a certified public accountant. It could be an enrolled agent. It could be a tax attorney, or it could be any other paid tax preparer that knows the rules and regulations, like federal taxation, really has a clear idea what he or she is doing. And it's just a lot better to pay that person and really forget about it. Unless you have experience when it comes to taxation, and you have done it before and you're pretty comfortable to do it. You're pretty, it's one of those things where, again, when you talk to a third-party designee, make sure that he or she is following the rules in terms of filing on time. If you use the USPS, the mailing address you need to use depends on your business's location, as I said earlier, including special filing addresses for exempt organizations and governmental entities. Okay, and so the deadline for filing Form 941X. So if you are filing to claim the ERC, the deadline to apply is April 15th, 2024. So for all quarters in 20 and April 15th, 2025 for all quarters in 2021. Okay, and so January through March, this is due April 30th. April through June, due July 31st. July through September, due October 31st. And October through December, due January 31st. So again, the date is a rolling deadline. Depending on your calendar, that calendar quarter, you are actually applying the Form 941X to. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. Let's do a quick recap here. So in today's conversation, I spoke to you about Form 941X. I gave you the overview, and then finally, I gave you the approach. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.